everyone, and welcome to another empowering episode of Moments with Myra, where we create space for conversations that inspire, heal, grow, and transform. Today, I am so excited and so honored to welcome Shakira, also known as the Somatic Disruptor, which I absolutely love. Through her work, she challenges traditional approaches to healing by helping people reconnect with their bodies, regulate their nervous systems, which I so need, release stored trauma, and embrace authentic living through somatic practices. Many of us have learned to push through stress, ignore our body, and wear busyness as a badge of honor. But what if the true healing begins by simply slowing down and listening to what our bodies have been trying to tell us all along? Today, we're diving into a powerful connection between the body, mind, and emotional healing. So, Shakira, thank you so much for joining me and welcome to Moments with Myra.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Now, I followed you for a while, so I know you, but if you would tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your journey into becoming the somatic disruptor, which I love, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I never know where to start with these. I am Shakira. I got into wellness by becoming a massage therapist. When I received my first massage, the first thing I thought about was, wow, I don't have to hurt. Other people shouldn't have to hurt. We should all feel this type of relaxation. And from there, I kind of have just flowed into this, I guess, system of wellness. And the ways in which I got into yoga were from very personal, um, like situations where my therapist basically said, you really need to maybe find a yoga class, like not at the gym that you work at, but go to a yoga studio where it's more about the connection to the body and not as much like a physical practice of like strength building. And so
Mhm.
I found a yoga studio, signed up for a yoga teacher training, and I 100% say this all the time is that yoga saved my life because I don't know what would have happened to me had I not been in that yoga teacher training at the time. And the way I was held in that training and the way the teacher really explained everything to us and really helped us tap into our emotional body felt like exactly what I needed in order to practice ahimsa, which is one of the yamas, around non-harm. So I wouldn't harm myself, I wouldn't harm others, and really tap into more of like, who is this new version of myself that I'm awakening to? And so long story short, we jump up here to 2026, and I came up with the somatic disruptor because I have worked in many spaces where I was called disruptive. And I was called disruptive because I was meeting people at an edge that they weren't ready to meet.
Mhm.
I was sharing information with them and reflecting back to them how the systems have really uh, kind of conditioned us to be the ways that we are, and what does it mean to break out of that system. And in white dominant spaces, it's really hard for folks to meet that without being defensive. And so their response to me is, you're disruptive and you're
Mhm.
unwelcoming. And it's really, I'm just disrupting your soma so that you can actually vibrate differently and say, hey, I do embody and uphold the system of white supremacy. How can I start to change that? And so that's where the somatic disruptor came from. And I just decided to embrace it. I'm like, well, if I'm a disruptor, if I'm disruptive, by all means, I will continue to be that. So, yeah.
I, I so, girl,
Yes.
I so love that because it's not just about you meeting them where they are with a little extra, not in and not even in a way of being like, well, confronting them or anything, but just like literally helping them to be better.
Yeah.
But to take that negative kind, word and connotation and turn it into something positive and strong and powerful. Because I know when I first read that, I was like, the somatic disruptor. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. I never in a million years would have thought that that's where it came from.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right with yoga and pushing people out of their comfort zone. And I agree with you. And I do need to get back to it. But I was always afraid of yoga because I'm a
Yeah.
bigger girl. And so when you go in those spaces and everybody has on their cute little outfits and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And so my friend years ago drugged me literally to a yoga class in Charlotte that one of our friends was teaching. And when I tell you, when I got down into some of those poses, Shakira, and started crying because
Yes.
I was releasing all of that trauma and stuff out of my bones, out of my shoulders. I mean, I was crying like a fool. And I was like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm sorry. They're like, no,
Don't
that's a good
apologize.
thing. Yeah.
Hmm.
It was just such a beautiful thing. And I shared that story right from the beginning because I want people to really know that she's not just saying that yoga is for everybody. Yoga is truly, truly for everybody if we get out of our own way. And it's
Yes.
so healing. It's so
Yes.
healing. Mm, I love
Absolutely.
that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Thank you for
So,
sharing that.
yeah, absolutely. Because as I'm on my journey and I'm still trying to heal some stuff too, but I feel like sometimes we need to be transparent so that other people realize that they're not alone in it. Because I'm sure it's other
Yes.
big girls is like, I like to do yoga. Well, you can do it. Because I was like, I can't get into none of these poses. But guess what? I was able to do every single one of them and had no problem and was better afterwards. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that for people that might be interested in taking yoga. Now,
Absolutely.
what is your mission for the people that you serve? What is something that you want them to get out of a session with you?
Mm. Yeah. For folks that work with me, the mission is usually about how can you just feel your body, allow it to guide you through whatever it is that we're doing, whatever season of life that you're in, so that you can come out on the other side with a little more information, a
Mhm.
little more self-compassion,
Yes.
and just breath, really. Like it's really about the breath and what this rhythmic bloom is within you. Because I often think about we all have our own rhythms and we all bloom in our own time. And so
Mhm.
when we tap into what our rhythm is, that's when we can have our own blooming moment. And we're going to have many of those throughout life. Um, but it's really important that we sit with ourselves long enough to see what is my actual rhythm. Am I living into that or am I trying to live on someone else's rhythm?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And trusting yourself
absolutely.
and trusting the messages that you've been ignoring for so long,
Yes.
because it's really, really about sitting with yourself and trusting what your body's telling you. And I
Right.
feel like you're like just the leader, like the work, all of the work is what your client is doing. You're just the
Yes.
leader to kind of guide you through the process. So it's all about trusting yourselves. Now, many people have never heard of the word somatics. Can you explain
Mhm.
what somatic healing is?
Yeah, so somatics is really about the body. It's like, what do we have in our bodies? Um, and I will say like soma. So it's like our emotions, it's our thoughts, it's the experiences that we've had and how it gets stored in our bodies. I often think about like as a child, I fell off of a skateboard and I still remember how much it hurt when I fell off that skateboard to where I will not skateboard to this day.
Yeah.
And so the somatic work is around how do we bring all of those things together to really work with the body. So again, it's like the physical body, the emotions, the thoughts, the experiences, anything that we've had happen with us, and even just like the system and the conditions that we live in, all of that lives in our body. And once we can start to unravel or unfurl some of that, then it's like, oh, that's what that is sitting there. Let's go ahead and let's work with that. Let's see what we can transform that into. So,
And
mhm.
I like that definition because the one thing, and again, y'all, on this healing journey that I'm on, I know sometimes whenever I get aches and pains, I'm always like, okay, my knee is hurting. What emotions are held in the knee? Or, to try to,
Try
or
to
what
figure it
emotions held
out.
in the hand? Yeah, trying to figure it out and trying to connect the dots, so to
Yes.
speak. So
Yes.
I definitely
I love
understand
that.
that. I
Yeah.
definitely understand.
Yeah.
Now, what are some common signs that our nervous system needs to be regulated?
Ooh. So I think there's still some controversy over the term
Mhm.
regulation, because it varies from all of
Okay.
our experiences, of course. But I would say like some signs that like your nervous system is overactive is definitely when you might have like that hyperventilating breathing, when the
Mhm.
thoughts are racing and it's like I can't focus on one thing right now. Sometimes I think about it like I just shared something around crying in the grocery store. Like I had a moment of overwhelming grief in the grocery store and I was just staring at coffee and I was like, I can't choose a coffee. I just miss my grandma. And that
Yeah.
was my system was an overload of like this
Yes.
grief and I was just frozen. So like we have the different responses of fight where you might get aggressive, freeze where you just literally do nothing, and then fawn where it's like, oh, let me shower you with pleasantries so you don't hurt me. It's all
Mhm.
out of survival. And so the body will tell us, like, it might be your heart starts pounding, your mouth gets dry, you can't breathe, or it's the hyperventilated breathing. um, those are the ways in which we can start to say, oh, something's happening. What are the tools that I can use? And sometimes it's hard to think about the tools when it's actually in the moment.
Yes.
But when we start to practice this more and more, and then it's also like, well, what does regulated actually mean? Because it comes in stages. Like we
Mhm.
can't go from being in fight or flight and then immediately rested without like practice in between of like, what are the stages to actually let the parachute open and then I descend down from the sky, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, can someone begin healing with simple daily practices?
Oh, absolutely. That's how I started. 7 minutes a day. I say that to this day. If you want to start anywhere, start with 7 minutes. Whether it's if you do yoga, if you sit on your yoga mat and cry it out for 7 minutes, done that. Whether you journal for 7 minutes, have a 7 minute meditation, take a walk around your neighborhood if that feels safe enough to do, or just sit outside for 7 minutes. Like I say do things in 7 minute increments so that it
Mhm.
doesn't feel overwhelming. Like 5 minutes is too quick in a way, 10
Mhm.
minutes is too long. So 7 minutes felt really perfect. And I would just say start there. And like if you can consistently show up for yourself for 7 minutes every day, over time it gets longer. Over time it becomes 30 minutes, 1 hour, hour and a half, however long you need, to start to let the nervous system recognize safety is okay. And
Mhm.
that it's not like I'm going from this fearful state to safe, because then that still feels like
Yeah. You're still out of
fear.
sorts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Exactly. Exactly. So just gradual practices all the time and every day over years is what really helps us start to feel safer in our own bodies, feel safe in like whatever the practices we're doing, to where we can pick up new practices that might help us move deeper once we've hit a certain level. Like sometimes I think people feel like they plateau on their healing journey. And I just say it's not
Mhm.
really a plateau. It's just that you've met a space where now you feel safe in this new space and you're like, well, what's
Mhm.
next? And we don't have to keep searching for the next thing. We can just actually rest in that space.
And
Mhm.
resting is okay. And I think a
Yes.
lot of us, especially Black women, we
Yeah,
don't like to rest. We have a
we
hard time
don't.
accepting that resting is okay.
I know.
And I'm so glad that you said what you said about 7 minutes, because I'm also a spiritual life coach. And so I started working with my clients with somatic breathing. And
Yeah.
so I said, okay, And that's what I said. I said 5 is too quick. And so I usually say 6 or 7, to
Yes.
do it. And I said, and you can start feeling better just that quickly. And they're just kind of rolling their eyes like, whatever, whatever. So now, y'all, I got proof. Somebody
Yeah.
else said it too.
It's
It doesn't
real.
have to be a big, grandiose thing,
No, right.
you
It
know,
doesn't. It doesn't.
because I
Yeah.
feel like when you look at it as something grand or something that's in for you to do, first of all, healing is not for the culture.
Mm.
Healing is for you, because now so many people are spiritual. So many people saying, well, I'm healing, I'm on my journey. They have all these little keywords that they use. And let me tell you something. If you are truly on a healing journey, honey, like that song said, take me through there, take me through there.
You getting taken all the way through there.
Yes, yes. So it's not pretty, but it's so worth
No.
it in the end.
Yes.
So I'm so glad you said that. See, guys, I told you 7 minutes, and y'all looking at me like, what can I do in 7 minutes? A
A
lot.
lot.
Yes, a whole lot. So now, Shakira, why do you think so many people stay stuck in survival mode without realizing it?
Oh, because it's normal. That's baseline. That's what's kept them safe. Yeah. I mean, from my own life experience and like also watching like family members, friends, the world, it survival feels like that's what's comfortable, that's what's meant for us, right? Because we've
Yes.
been told, like we literally go to school to learn how to be employees. We're not
Yes.
taught to build the business, we're not taught to do our taxes, we're not taught any of the money things. We're taught how to show up, put on your clothes, go do this job and go home. We don't want you
Yes.
doing anything else.
No
Just
extra.
surviving, right? Just surviving. And so I think we're just trained to be in that survival state. And it really takes like a disruption to help folks see that and to help them see, like, oh, I don't have to do it that way. I don't have to struggle. Just like when I got that massage, I was like, I don't have to be in pain. It really does something to your brain of like a new neuron just fired off in a new pathway. I don't have to hurt. I want to follow that. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's the courage to follow that new thing because it could be like, that feels really good, but it might get taken away from me. So let me not even try,
Mhm.
And so, like, when we choose not to even try, we're willing to stay stuck in that place, whatever place that is for folks. Um, and so I feel like that survival is like, that's what's comfortable. That's what I've always known. That's how we've always
Mhm.
done it. Instead of like, well, what would the courage look like to try something different? And then
Yes.
to try it differently every day. And you
Yes.
might
That
miss a few
consistency.
days, but yeah, but staying consistent in what is this new pattern that I could start or live into? And how would my life change around that? Yeah.
Yes, and getting out of that comfort zone
I don't
and
know.
wanting it for yourself,
Yeah.
because a lot of my clients, they want it for themselves, but they want it so much more for everybody else around them, their partner, their kids,
Yeah.
their parents, or whatever. So it's so important for you to learn how to pour from not the saucer. You want to pour from the overflow in the saucer from the cup.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
so that's
Hmm.
that's what I work with a lot of people for, because everybody, men and women, they feel guilty about it. So I'm glad
Yeah.
that you said that. Now, what role do you feel like self-awareness plays in healing? Because I've had some people that's like, I'm ready to do the work. I want to heal, or whatever the case may be. And then when we get to that point, and like you said, when we like really, really getting down into it, they're like, no, this is too much. I
It's too
don't want to do it.
much. Yeah. Uh, what was the question again? Because yes, I hear you.
What role does self-awareness play in
What role
healing?
self-awareness? Yes. Yeah. I mean, it does play a big role because we have to be aware of our own actions. We have to be aware of what we do on the day to day, especially if we are on this healing journey, because it's not smooth, it's not rainbows. It's like,
Mhm.
bro, you literally go through hell a little bit
You do.
a few
A
times.
lot. Yeah.
Okay. And you come back and be like, "Ooh, it was hot down there.
And then the
I
next
can
thing you
cool
know,
off. You back down there." It's like, wait a minute. It's a lot. So yeah, so you have to be aware of like even of just what are my thoughts even telling me about whatever part of the journey you're on? What are my thoughts running through my head? Are they negative self-talk? Can I change them? Can I shift them to be more positive or be more life affirming? Because if we just have all of this running in our subconscious in the background,
Mhm.
then we're going to keep doing the same old things out of that survival mode. And so when we become aware of like, ooh, that thought is coming up, and you've done the practice to maybe have a new affirmation or thought to replace that, you can start to replace it sooner. And I often just think about even like from working with some folks of like, what if they are self-aware and they still don't care? That's been like one of
Mhm.
those things that has come up for me as well, because it's like
Mhm.
they're not necessarily on a healing journey. They're just here in life doing what they do. And they know that what they're doing might cause harm or it might rub people the wrong way or whatever. And they just don't care. And so that's like a completely different conversation
I can't even
for
imagine.
them. Oh, they exist. I was like, okay, that's what we're doing. It's above me.
So,
All right.
and especially in situations like that, how do you help clients move from surviving to really truly thriving?
Yeah. I think it takes time. I feel like I can think of one client because we just had a session this week, and so she's still top of mind. Um, where over this past, say we've been working together for about 7 months now,
Hmm.
like in depth every other week, we've been really working hard. And I see her starting to have more of that confidence in herself, and she has more courage to say what she needs to say at her workplace because like she is in a position of power and she can voice herself, and like if it doesn't land on ears in the ways that they need it, it's like, but actually I'm speaking from a place of healed. I am
Hmm.
no longer allowing your opinions and your thoughts dictate how I show up. She's now
Yes.
showing up as like her fullness. And so to see
Mhm.
her go from like this very timid human to like, it's even like in her presence, she walks differently. She shows up differently now to the point where it's like, hey girl, what you got it done. Like she can
Yeah.
give direction and people can follow. Before people would question and like, are you sure you want that? And she's like, speaks clearly. She's like, this is what I need for you to do. Can we have this done by this date? And so I think it just also helped her organize herself so that she could delegate better. So it really just comes down to, can we again stay in that consistent practice? Can we
Mhm.
tap into the body enough to where we can start to unlock and open up the areas that we've been holding on to? And I always say, get you a team. So have a therapist, have a massage therapist, have an acupuncturist, like whatever kind of medicine you need. Make sure you have a team that can also talk to each other and we can help with the whole body, the whole person. So, yeah.
I think that's so important. And I can resonate with your client because I used to be one that would hold back a lot. Like,
Yeah.
because I would be concerned, okay, how is that person going to take it? Will this hurt their feelings? Blah, 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 blah. And then through my healing journey, I learned that people don't care. You over here worried, honey, and they done moved on to something else.
Yeah.
And so it feels good to feel that empowerment to be like, I said what I said and walk off. So now, even though I'm not in a management position with my job, but if it's not right, it's not right. If it's not suiting me or fitting me, it's not. So my body has become so conditioned that my body be like, girl, you're not going to bed. You better send that email. You better send that voicemail. Like literally, my mind is like talking to me like, this is not what we're doing. So even if I wanted to
Yeah.
try to avoid it, I can't. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that. And of course, guys, the people that are listening, of course, I've lost friends. I've lost,
Mm.
people in my life, because they say, you acting funny. What's wrong with you? Well, of course, you're going to think that now because me choosing me no longer serves you. So
Exactly.
kudos to
Yeah.
her for that. That is
Yeah.
so important. And especially with her being in the position that she's in.
Yes.
And I think sometimes it surprises people because I'm still soft spoken. I don't have to yell. I don't have to cause a scene. I say what I got to say, and I'm on to something else. Now, how
Yeah.
you take it, that's on you. But I have been true to myself, and it's a beautiful,
Exactly.
beautiful thing. So I
Yes.
really, really want to give her kudos too.
Hmm.
Now, with all of the different people that you've worked with, what have you learned from witnessing others transform through somatic work?
Ooh, just softening.
Yes.
Um, the softening has really been the biggest thing. It's almost like their voice softens. I had one client and we worked through massage and he was like, my voice is different. It's like soulful. I was like, you better be out here with some soul, you know? So it brings the soul back into the body even. Um, but yeah, there's been like a lightening in people over time. And even with some of the work that feels like heavier, like when I'm doing the social justice work and how that shows up in our soma,
Yeah.
that even I feel like folks are even able to be light, even having that hard conversation or
Hmm.
recognizing that conditioning in their own body of like, dang, I do that. And I can change that. And like it's like that little, again, that little spark that can change the thought process. And I also feel like more people have like that confidence in themselves and like their intuition, even.
Yes.
Like, how can I even trust my intuition if after all these decades of life, I was ignoring it and now I'm learning to trust it? I'm learning whatever the gut reaction is or the heart reaction is. I'm learning to trust all of those notions that my body can give me. Um, faster than my mind can actually logically think of a sentence that tells me what it is. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, my body already said that's a no. It's a no. We don't have to explain anything else. It's a no. And that's also soft because it's like you don't spend the time going back and forth, like debating pros and cons. It's just like my body said no, I can respond with a no.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And no is a complete sentence. So there's nothing else to
Yeah.
talk about.
There's nothing
And
more.
also, too, I think that it helps you to be more authentic
Yes.
because your brain's no longer like running that rat race of trying to come up with the proper answer or the proper term and that kind of thing. So you're able to be authentic and more true with your words,
Hmm.
even if sometimes it is no. And like I said, no is a complete sentence.
Yes.
And what's funny to me, Shakira, is sometimes when, I'll say no, like that's just it. And they're just like looking at you like this,
Waiting.
like waiting for more. And I'm sitting there like,
Period.
yeah, no,
What do you want?
exactly. So I try to encourage my clients to say, no is a complete sentence. If you want to elaborate more, you can, but
Hmm.
no, and go on about your business. And
Yeah.
it's hard for people that have been, I kind of want to say, again, I'm speaking about myself too. Yes, people. You know what I mean?
People
So,
pleasers.
yes, a people
Yeah.
pleaser. That's what I was looking for. It's hard, but honey, I tell you, now that I'm here, I love it here and I'm never going back. And I
Hmm.
am telling everybody, like if I hear a conversation, I'm like, well, what about your breathing? Like what are what are you doing to kind of get back to your center? Just to like, I'm a firm believer in I'm not gonna beat you over the head with it, but
Yeah.
I like to give you just a little nugget. And if you choose to, you can explore and look up things yourself. So that's really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Now, Are there any practices that you could do in a moment when you know you need like a quick reset? I know sometimes
Mm,
if the day is like crazy for me, I shake.
yep.
If I can't get on the floor or something, I shake
Yep.
my hands,
Yep.
shake my body, and and then I'm like, okay, I can move forward.
Yeah.
Are there any other tools that we can use, like when you're having that moment, like right then, when you're like in DMX mode? Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here, up in here.
Mm, yes, there is. There is. One that's coming up right now is a practice called the 7-step kata.
Okay.
And I learned this from one of the programs I was in called Spirit of Learning. And basically, a kata is a different sequence of poses or positions. And this one is around ground. So, what feels grounding? What feels stable? Center, where do I move from? What do I stand for? Um, our length, so like, what is our aspirations? How can I lift up to the heavens? Our depth, what is it that this arc of time has told me? My past, my present, my future, my ancestors, even my width, what is it about belonging in community? What is it
Mm,
about being held in community? And then coming back to the heart and integration of like, well, what's within me right now that I need or that I need more resourcing around? And so there are positions that you can do with this, but over time, it just becomes a sensation of,
okay.
I feel grounded. Boom, and you're grounded. You feel your feet on the floor, you feel your body on the earth, and then you move through those 7 touch points. And it can take a matter of 30 seconds, like once you've been doing it over the years. Like for me, it's
Hmm.
been a 10-year practice. So for somebody coming at me at the grocery store or something, I'm like, ground, center, length, width, depth, heart, integration. And then I can respond. It's like I just have the practice of like knowing what that sense is in my body. And like that's what I teach in some of the workshops that I'm in. That's like one of those practices that feels really good. And I think another one is the 2-step. It's like a pivoting practice. And you literally just turn one way and then turn your body the other way of like, let me see a different perspective. Okay, I can come
Okay.
back. And that's like another one that's just like really in the moment. Folks might think you are doing a dance. That's totally fine. Be yourself, show up in all your light, and also regulate the body back to a baseline that works for you in that moment. So you don't have a DMX moment.
Yes, honey. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you for sharing that because it's so important because DMX moments are real out
They
here in the
are.
streets.
Yes.
People have audacity all
Yes.
day, every day. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to get that question in to see if there were some other tools that could quickly bring you back so that you don't lose your job, so that you don't go to jail or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Now, for someone that's in the beginning of their healing journey, what advice would you give to them as far as like getting started? Like, what would be like step one or step two when you're just starting out on your healing journey?
Yeah. Just starting out. I always say start with YouTube. YouTube University has gotten me through a lot of things. um, but start with YouTube or find like a community within your city that you're living in that is already doing this. So I often like at the coffee shops, there's oftentimes like flyers on the wall that have different folks that share like what healing practices they're offering. So head to the coffee shops, whether you get a coffee, a tea, or not, and just look at the board and see like what is already happening around me. I would get on YouTube and say like beginner healing in the search bar or like beginner yoga for healing, beginner yoga for depression, whatever that might be. And a few things will start to pop up to where you can do it at home in the safety of your own home.
Hmm.
Um, and then I would get a journal or just have some paper around or take notes in your phone of like, what am I noticing and observing each and every day about myself, about my surroundings, my environment? Because just starting to notice what's happening is really the first step. Because when we can become the observer, that's when we can start to make the change. Otherwise, we're just on autopilot, just doing
Gotcha.
things. I would also think of like one thing I can do each day. Because I'm thinking about like with my healing journey, I had the therapist to tell me like, go take a yoga class at the yoga studio, not at the gym. And that was like a click I had never thought about. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I could do that. And just sought out the yoga studio, really enjoyed it, took the training. So I feel like there's a lot of different things like just making tea, going to the
Hmm.
grocery and buying the box with the bags. You don't have to get really into it, going to buy loose leaf teas. Just buy the pre-made tea, warm it up, drink it, and sip it slow. Like, don't try to rush yourself through it. Like, how
Yes.
can you slow down? How can I slow down my eating? Even like chocolate. I've done a lot of work with chocolate of like, how can we allow the chocolate to melt in our mouth before we chew it and already break off the next piece ready for it to go in? Like,
Hmm.
what are the things that I can just slow down doing? That could even just be driving. How can I slow down my driving? Not on the interstate in the left lane, but you can slow down in the right lane. Don't camp out in the left lane. So it's just like a lot of little things. And I think it would depend on where folks are on their healing journey, what's brought them to their healing journey. Cause I always think that is going to determine like what the next steps would be.
Hmm. And the one thing that I appreciate about our conversation is how you make everything so simple and possible. And I
Yeah.
think that that's so important for people to see, that it doesn't have to be all of these big things, like you said. Okay, graduate to, curating your own tea if that's what you want to do.
Right.
But for right now, just go to Food Line to the tea aisle and grab you some.
Yes.
It can be just the simplest things that are going to make the difference and make you feel so much better. So I'm glad that you said that, especially about YouTube, because there's so much out there on YouTube that can help
Yes.
you and that can get you started on your healing journey in the right way.
Absolutely.
So now tell me, what's next for you in the work as a somatic disruptor?
Yes. What's next for me is I feel like it's a lot. There's been a lot of changes in the past 4 to 5 months. But I think the biggest thing that I have coming up is I'm leading a incubator, and it's called the Rhythmic Bloom Incubator. And what we're doing is bringing together a small group of people who are ready to develop systems where people can thrive within them. So whether they are a coach, a yoga teacher, a nonprofit organizer, executive director, it's really a space for folks to start using yoga as a tool
Mhm.
versus a workout. It's like, how can I use yoga to build my own capacity to lead the people who trust me to lead them? And what is the culture that we're building together within their pockets of where they work, live, and play? Because I do think there is a culture change that's happening, and there's a lot of friction with that. And I believe that when we come together to talk about the culture, how are we embodying it versus just stating our values? And that's what we're going to work on, is like allowing those two things to come together so that we embody the values that we say of our organization or whatever it
Mhm.
is, so that the people within our organization actually feel like they're a resource to do their job, to do their
Yes.
volunteering, to just show up as their true self. Because speaking as a Black woman, I can't show up as my true self no matter how much people tell me in certain
Yeah.
spaces. It's not possible. When I show up as my true self, my authentic self, there's friction,
Yeah.
and we can feel it. The microaggressions start coming in heavier, and it's just like, oh, I can't show up here. Even though you state these values, you don't actually
Mhm.
embody them. So, how can we
Mhm.
start to bring the people who want to embody the values into spaces together so that we can work on it? So, it's a 3-month program. It begins in February of 2027. And we're really just coming together to learn how can we build these new systems for our people to thrive within them.
I love that. And I think it's
Mhm.
so important because with race relations and just everything that we just being Black
Yes.
face every single day, And to feel like, your company or whatever has this mission statement, but then to realize that the mission statement is really for everybody else but you,
Exactly.
I think that that's an important conversation to have. So
Hmm.
now, as we're starting to wind down, where can listeners connect with you and learn more about Shakira, the Somatic Disruptor?
Yes, they can find me on Instagram at Shakira Bonique. You can visit my website, Rhythmic Bloom, which has all the different places where I'm teaching yoga. So if you're in any of the areas, I'd love for you to come join me for a class. Um, and I do have a YouTube channel. It's getting revamped, but it's also Rhythmic Bloom. So you can check that out. There are some beginner yoga series on there. So feel free to check that out if you're like new to yoga, want to try it. It's there for you.
Thank you, Shakira. Thank you for
Hmm.
sharing your wisdom, your heart, and your
Yes.
passion for helping others heal from the inside out. Today's conversation reminds us that healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you've always been beneath the stress, the fear, and the survival patterns. I hope today's episode encourages our listeners to slow down, listen to their bodies with compassion, and recognize that healing is a journey worth taking. It really, really is, y'all. It's so worth it. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Moments with Myra. If today's conversation inspired you, please like, subscribe, leave a review if you choose to, and share this episode with someone who could benefit from this powerful message. Shakira, thank you so much again, honey, for sharing space with me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.